let's just, you know, hope everything stays stable for one of many reasons. Things seem to be good, though. I mean, hey, that's a heck of a way to start off what could be an epic series. Mistakes punished, a couple of the great individual clutch moments also coming through. You love to see it overall. And, well, I kind of want to just get your thoughts here. I mean, your mirror matchup, hard to obviously break down the differences between comps, but maybe just something in the individual performance that we saw from the first map individually.
Yeah, I mean, hey, mirror matchup, exactly like everyone was saying. We're going to see the exact same thing on both sides here. But at the same time, like, I love how the desk highlights that proactive versus reactive style, because I think a lot of the plays and how a lot of these rounds are going to be dictated are really going to be who's taking that advantage. That was something I highlighted a lot in that last map on Bind. But as we move into this next one, it's a new page, and I still worry because we got to see so many pop-off moments from NRG Academy's players. And if Evictix continue to give them those opportunities, then it doesn't matter how many stratagems you put together. If you're dead, you can't even use any of your utility or shoot back. And so for me, that's what I'm looking at.
That's typically the way that works.
It usually is in gun games, you know?
Yep, usually is. You dead, can't play anymore. Okay. Well, a little bit of a fuel out over towards C-Lon doesn't really result in too much besides Sean Dex staying here in Cubby for now. A little feel out with the Owl drone on the opposite side towards A main. Clears the lobby first, and then we'll see if there's any info to be gathered, and maybe they get some info on Raccoon there at the end. But Alarm Bot and Shoulders from Traded will be where the defense is tested, as this will be a B hit with the spike. Again, keep your eye to see when Sean Dex wants to go down C-Long here.
And Traded smartly just decides to kind of back out, and so Evictix will be getting themselves all in an order, but it genuinely feels like Scotty might just be aware of Sean Dex's position here. And yeah, it's going to be a Viper duel that Sean Dex actually wins to give more information.
A great timing, great reveal on the back side of this, but Traded still comes away with one Chloric in the corner.
Oh no.
Gets some damage in, but it can only go 1 for 1. Again, keep your eye on the big post plant position of this back window, but this is a classic, and this is not what you want from that position, leaving it just down to Sean Dex. Back into the play all of a sudden. The snake bite, well placed, but not there, at least not deep enough. It's Traded for 4. Halfway is where the spike will go down, and we'll have enough time for Traded to finish things off, and that's already very close. Well, already halfway to a lockdown.
Yeah, I was gonna say the duelist to Sentinel pipeline stays alive. At least on this map, we know that Traded likes to pick up this Killjoy, and I think that it kind of works out well. If you were watching how Traded's play style was last map with that Yoru, with taking a lot of space, not afraid to just kind of go for those solo plays. A lot of the time, Sentinels, it's kind of the same thing, you know? You set up your utility, and then you just kind of have to play off of yourself and really either anchor things down or go for some of these tricky plays and be that reliable anchor. And so it works out really well for Evictix, and once again, Traded still such a highlight player from this roster. Generally, when we talk about pop-off moments, we're looking at NRG Academy, but Evictix on their side, Traded has been kind of the one who's always going to be good for 2 or 3 on the way out, if not more. So that's going to be one of those players, once again, that you got to keep your eye on as this map continues to develop.
Heading in round 2. Just the single sheriff for Sean. Everyone else on classics for NRG Academy. Evictix will have 1 scope up, a lot of SMGs and a bulldog, and Traded. Hard to say if they caught info initially, but that's a little bit of extra confirmation in terms of who's there and how many. And Traded is actually going to try to push the issue here. This is bold. We'll find 1 and a second. Okay, so the play will work out. Catches NRGA by a little bit of surprise. And from here on out, should be pretty casual for Evictix.
Yeah, Dre finally getting a little bit of a redemption, but immediately shut down by Sean Dex. At least able to trade out one of those things. Zange is just on the other side of the smoke, but the clamp is now coming through.
Well, Sean has made this a little bit more interesting. A couple of shots will land. May hinder the bonus just a touch in terms of total weaponry brought to the table, but unless he gets another, wouldn't figure there's much to be worried about if you're Evictix. And yeah, they cleaned it up pretty well. 2-0 early, and now we'll see what exactly the decision will be for Evictix in terms of purchase power to make this bonus a little bit more formidable.
It's so funny because right now, like, we're setting up this story, right, that these two teams are just so evened out, so same across the board when it kind of comes down to, you know, just pure statistics and everything there. And even looking at which side they prefer on this map, the defense is by far the side that both of these teams have won a majority of their rounds on every single time they've come to Haven. NRG Academy have played Haven one more time than Evictix, but just in general, there's a lot of good information to show that both these teams are more defensive teams. And so with that in mind, NRG Academy just need to win a couple of rounds, and they shut down Shaw's very early on with Cloric just kind of spraying things through.
Yeah, just trying to get a little cheeky right now, our Evictix, seeing if they can catch NRG off guard, maybe steal a weapon or two to make this more doable, but pretty well received right now for NRG Academy. Dre, Raccoon looking to try to do something from this position. That reveal will not go into a spot that has Giza of too much trouble, and I don't know what that was from Dre, but it will be obviously an opportunity now for NRG Academy to clean this one up and get themselves on the board. Just comes down to how cleanly can they do it with the last two members of the defense making their way over towards B-Link.
Yeah, and Scotty, great wraparound as well. Make sure that it's punished. At least drop another weapon there and be able to pick that one up. So you see Traded has that rifle, but Ange just watching for it so deep in. And yeah, a little bit of a misplay there. I think if Dre was able to find that kill, things could have been a lot easier here. Given Traded was able to recover this rifle, should just look to save it. You know, be able to find one more kill would be great to have that lockdown online. But all things considered, NRG Academy do a great job at controlling the space and finding the kills just at the start of the round.
Yep. And to be candid, with Cloric having a good start here, like a lockdown, trying to force it with the 100 you already earned is not really something you want to risk. You'd more rather have the weapon, try to build up some eco. So 2-1 the count early. And now we'll start to figure out what both these two teams prefer in terms of their playbook, and especially as, again, a couple of early ultimates are on the table already in our first full gun round. That does make things very interesting. We have an Odin out for Raccoon. Scotty opting for surely not just a sheriff here. Okay, yeah. Phantom will be out. Let's say there's no way he just holds onto that eco, but does force a couple of regenerative armors in. Operator and Odin, though, as you would assume for the defense, will be a problem that NRG will have to try to find a solution for early.
And to highlight another point that was made earlier, please just don't walk into Raccoon spraying things down with the Odin NRG. You got to be a little bit more proactive at making sure you shut these things down, as Shaw's under a lot of pressure now.
Yeah, I'll say that Odin, well, won't really be a part of this.
Wow.
Hunter Fury will connect. Shaw's able to find one initially, and Traded actually kind of sneaks into the backside of the site, but there's enough trades for NRG Academy to get the plant off and hold the 32 numbers. Raccoon gets a bit of chip damage in, not a terrible amount. Shondex largely fine, but a late owl drone scouts out the scene, and a reveal is in, but still trying to recover this site with an Odin is no easy task.
Oh, a little scary for a second, but Shondex shuts that one down, and now Dre has to go up against the world.
Yeah, the reveal pretty much makes this an impossibility. Good shock darts, but they don't connect. So Dre will have an exit to save the rifle, but NRG Academy, again, really nice and convincing in terms of how they approach the C site. Really good on the opening breakdown, I think, especially just using the Hunter's Fury and finding connection in the face of the op landing. So good counter, and a 2-2 count graces us here going into round 5, where there will be some financial considerations for Evictix.
And we get to see, once again, NRG Academy do something that we really haven't expected of them. I want to call it visual clutter, but that doesn't quite feel right here. But there's just so much happening onto the site. Like, you get the 2 walls going, the Hunter's Furies flying around, an Omen's teleporting into your back line. It feels like they're just overwhelming your senses until the point that Evictics are a little bit overstimulated with everything that's kind of going on. And then it's just kind of like a free-for-all hunt. And that does a great job at disrupting a lot of the set plays that Evictics might have put together. And yeah, it works out really well for NRG Academy here, as it's going to be a bit of a save coming through Evictix' side. Dre and Traded will be the people who will be able to afford that rifle coming through under this one. But keep in mind, once again, Traded still has that lockdown available. And now that Cloric has kind of used that Hunter's Fury, there's no really hard counter to be able to shut it down. The only thing that NRG Academy can really look at is trying to get Giza's lockdown available to kind of counter it. But that's still 3 ultimate orbs away.
Trying to Venn diagram the map if that comes through. but that's a nice shot from Raccoon. Gives an early numbers advantage to Evictix, who still have a lot of killing potential off 2 rifles, and of course the ability just to one tap with sheriffs. So if you're NRG Academy, well, okay, so you get the trade on the A site. That'll actually move the defense around just a touch as well, just simply due to the fact that traded has to be cautious of where exactly their utility is placed. I think there's a lot of eyes right now onto what Shaw's wants to do timing-wise from this position at garage doors, considering this is leaning towards a B execute. And Dre's got a rifle, so if you can find a way to catch one, stay alive, it could be pretty punishing. And for now, Dre has stayed completely absent from all of the utility, but only catches the one. Trade to try to sneak into the site will not be allowed to. And yeah, that'll be the last kind of nail in the coffin there, as Shaw's would have to do something heroic in this 1v3 with just Sheriff.
Yeah, once again, just good overwhelm coming through. I thought I saw a protocol being put together from Evictix. Dre in the back line has the paranoia available, but then upon spotting out some of the utility coming through, okay, that was kind of a crazy shot from Shaw's there to be able to at least shut one more rifle down. Shaw's, though, still exploring, does have time, but Giza shuts that one down, so NRG Academy will take that round, but like I was saying, it just kind of fell apart for Dre alone on the site. It didn't really feel like Evictix really had backup in the way that they wanted to go and be able to kind of defend it, as Dre really got overwhelmed.
Yeah, I think just on top of this, not only is this a round that NRG Academy are going to love to have, but you, in the process, were able to earn that lockdown that you're talking about with Giza having the plant plus a couple of eliminations. So you have the ability to counter if you're NRG Academy. But Operator Odin back in play for Evictix defense. Both leaning over towards this A site, and the early Odin shots coming out will put a little bit of pressure out. And yeah, Raccoon's gonna be very cautious of how far forward you're gonna play, because the only backup you have is the op of Shaw. There's the paranoia in. Shaw is able to hit the first. Gets a really good relay into the mix as well. Hits a second shot. Impressive to say the least, but Giza with another response and make that more than that. Takes down 3, has the plant, and just like that, it looked like Evictix was going to do the job. But now it's just down to Scotty up top. And maybe a chance to do some damage here, but no, has to back off the lockdown, and NRG Academy are going to love the freedom.
Yeah, and Dre has wrapped around here, but still, this is such a tall order at this point. I imagine you just kind of look to potentially get it, but no, they're gonna give this one a shot.
Got time for it, and they get elimination onto Chloric. Dre playing the other side of the site, looking to isolate a 1v1 of their own. Giza on 3 already in the round. Paranoia is gonna be called through. But the Nano just causing too much of an issue. Giza's gonna find 4, and NRG Academy take a nice little early lead. Lots of ults available here for the side of Evictix coming into this next round, but there will be some issues trying to afford full weapons.
Yeah, and okay, we are going to be seeing Evictix now taking that time out here. I mean, once again, all things considered, not a terrible thing for Evictix, given the 2 massive ultimates that kind of come out in order to just really make sure that they keep the last 2 remaining members alive. And so NRG Academy, they do expend 2 of their bigger ultimates, but they're getting close to having at least that Hunter's Fury back online for Chloric to enable some of these additional tools to come online. Do I think that Evictix, hey, this is the round that you should press that X button and make sure that you're going to be able to use every single ultimate and guarantee the round? Well, let's maybe get the economy rolling first before you want to invest all of that, because, you know, if you're going to invest all of that and NRG lose a round, they're like, hey, that's fine. We got enough money to make sure that we buy up next time. The plate's going to be even. We're going to get our ultimates online. We're going to be bing chilling. But Evictix, it's still not really looking that coherent when they want to do it. It feels like they're playing for more the individual plays. We got to see a little bit of cool synergy coming out from Shaw's and Raccoon that last time around, but it's not to the same level that we saw in the last map with the Waylay strat, you know, playing off of this Saturate going through, playing off the information, the Yoru teleporting around. It really is just more of a gun duel and playing together. And well, NRG Academy, they've got players who individually will pop off, and when that happens, it's like the entire attack plan falls apart.
Very true. Very, very true. So let's get back into the action in round 7. Sheriff is the investment across the board for Evictix. NRG Academy going to have an outlaw to try to respond to some of these low armor situations. But this 3-man stack up defensively surrounding a lobby could be a little tricky to navigate if you are NRG Academy. Not really opted to do too much right now. Aldrin very passively to get a check for this. The Shaws get seen. Hard to say on that little cross. So hold your horses, because you've got some focus coming forward here for NRG Academy. Yeah, that is a good reveal. Raccoon going to step up with the overdrive, going to be out. That's just too much of an overheat. This absolutely spun up a web, did NRG Academy, and Shaws ran right into it.
I was going to say, like, you could tell that how NRG Academy are really just poking and prodding at the front there, using their utility. You could tell it's all bait. Like, it's just like, we think that the Neon is going to jump on us based off of the information. You know, we saw someone watching long. Let's just try and bait them out, find an easy kill. And it works out perfectly, taking that really key ultimate off the board for this round.
Well,
30 seconds left.
Scotty and the rest of the Evictics now looking to defend from the backside of the C site. Angle maybe available here for traded. Yeah, finds one. That's a spike here most importantly. Scotty finds one of their own, but yeah. An opportunity was there, but the shots don't quite land. Now the spike can be planted, but Raccoon makes this interesting. Hunter's Fury called maybe a touch too late, but if it lands, it would still find value. Not the case. Now Ange is behind the play. Raccoon seen. Giza just has to hold this angle. Should be a freebie here with the owl drone in hand for Raccoon, and it is. Last one up, that's going to be on the Dre, and Ange is right there to find the trade. An opportunity there for Evictix, but NRG not going to give away that advantage.
Man, and just on fire, navigating around the site so masterfully, just knows exactly how Evictix might be wanting to play that one. And you know, the fact that he's able to just completely walk through the drop there and get the drop on Evictix is just perfect. Not the cleanest here from Shondex. Kind of dirty that we watched that replay there as soon as he steps out as well to allow Raccoon to find that kill. But once again, the wraparound was just sublime from Ange, who once again has just been having a beautiful game so far up against Evictix. And now it's going to be the early Viper Spit expended onto that A side to try and deny some of that additional presence here. But Chloric through the smoke finds Dre. Will be traded left, right, and center. But Shaws is still under pressure here as he's just able to walk away.
Ooh, good fast lane timing actually keeps Shaws alive a little bit longer than maybe they were expecting. But the quick nature of this hit for NRG Academy is working out really, really well. 4v2 situation. Scotty and Trey, the last two left. You don't want to just give this round away for free, so we're going to get go of it. Traded, seen by the sentry turret. Shondex misses an opportunity onto Scotty. Can you get numbers forward here if you're Evictix? And you tried to, but Ange is able to clean things up nicely. NRG Academy up 6-2.
Do all these guys just have that equipped? I'm starting to get the system. Maybe that's just an NRG Academy thing at this point. Like every time we win, hey, look at us. Yeah, but once again, like Shondex, still couple of whiffs coming through here, but Ange has just been so consistent this entire game at being able to really anchor things down. And even though we get to see Shondex not necessarily find the kills, it still applies a little bit of that pressure onto the backline for Evictix, especially given what Ange did to them the previous round. And very important here, that was the Viper Spit that Evictix used, and they found absolutely no value. Raccoon down already. Things are just lining up perfectly for NRG Academy.
On opening trade gets us to an early 4v4. And now a decision needs to be discussed about NRG Academy, what they want to do. Dre going to be in some pressure as he tries to back into the site, but does get to some level of safety, but is still by themselves. If they could find one more, that would be insane. And it's not going to happen. Nice little sneak around for Shondex, Snakebite, and Cloud to delay, and it should be a pretty free post play.
Yeah, now it's going to be this 3v4 retake here. And Evictix, these last couple of rounds have invested quite a few of their ultimates. Aren't really walking away with too much out of them. Now let's see what they want to do. It might just be wait for exits here and die to the spike, given the lower weaponry buy-up. At least to allow those ultimate orbs to slowly get back online. But NRG Academy, like it's just looking like a completely different game compared to map number 1, where we saw so many of those little moments of floundering and little pieces of discombobulation getting kind of caught out here. Giza still walks away with one though.
Sean trying to get away. Won't be able to. And the rest of Evictix will sacrifice themselves to the spike. So 7-2 the count. Now, this is where the heat really kicks up, though, for Evictix. You need to find a round here, you think. You drop this one, you're going to be in some major trouble. You're still holding on to this lockdown, by the way, that they've had since round 4. So you would love to have that, but as we continue to talk about, there's a response already available for Chloric and Giza's 2 off the lockdown of their own. So it just kind of feels like a couple of the windows have not been able to be really converted on right now for Evictix.
Yeah, they really haven't. Like, it is feeling like it's slowly falling apart for them as these rounds kind of continue here. And, you know, they haven't obviously traded swapping back onto the Killjoy for their Haven, which this is kind of expected here. It just hasn't afforded the opportunity really for NRG Academy to be able to walk into traded and then traded to do traded things, being able to really close things out. And yeah, just like that, it's going to be trades across the board. Shaw's, though, lighting it up to find a double kill to give the numbers advantage at least over to Evictix.
And it's more than just the numbers, it's also the map positioning, separating Shondex out from this play. And for Chloric coming back over to mid, you have to be cautious about coming across this open doorway. For this reason exactly. Oh, Scotty, yeah. Has seen just the smallest pixel of Chloric. So is prepared and
huge.
finds the elimination. Nowhere for Renz to go. Big response here for Evictix.
Yeah, huge response. And honestly, with the spike going down, 40 seconds left on the clock, Shondex, sure, you're able to secure the A site, but what was it all for? Feels like the NRG Academy swarm around the map just didn't account for some of these angles that Evictix were holding, and so important for Evictix to continue to line up these rounds. Raccoon picks up the ult orb there, Shondex aware, but actually doesn't look that way, so Ship's passing in a night here, as I imagine this round will end. But yeah, both these teams, once again, defense tends to be their preferred side. And so, while concerning right now for Evictix, given they are on defense and they've only found 2 rounds, at least they're able to get 1 more. And if they're able to close out this half at that 7-5 scoreline, I think that this is still very possible to stop NRG Academy really from starting this giant snowball on their attack and then going into their preferred side, which would be defense.
Are we going to see the lockdown in this round? Almost feels like the game within inside the game right now.
I feel like I should start a tally at this point. How many rounds has it been?
It's been since round 4, so easy math. It's been 7 rounds so far.
Oh boy.
7 chances. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it's just so tough, I think, especially to know, like, are we using it to slow down a play? Are we using it on a retake? And the opportunities have not been clear-cut for it yet.
Oh, no way you stick
that's
that.
bold from Ange. Scotty prepared for it. Big first blood. And a second one from Shaw. Help from Dre. And, well, there'll be no need for a lockdown in this round because the round is over.
Yeah, at this point, Shaw is really just toying with Chloric. Last person alive, you already see traded going for the big wraparound here, but there'll be shots to close things out. And it's reminding me to some of those rounds where NRG Academy just kind of walked into Raccoon with the Odin, spraying them all down. But this time, it's just different members of Evictix just holding an angle, and NRG simply do not shoot back. They're looking in the wrong direction. And so Evictix just completely mowed them down. That round was over before they even got a foot in the door.
Correct. Yep. And so now we're going to expect some fireworks here. Last round of the half. You've got Op Out, Lockdown at the ready for both sides, and Overdrives at the ready for both sides. The only difference maker right now is Chloric and his Hunter's Fury, which when we saw this before, it was utilized as a way to open up a site. Op Out, there's one on the cross. Orb being collected. That's for Raccoon, who's now one off the Hunter's Fury of their own. And of course, the defense of Evictix is very aware of the imminent threat. Little jump peek coming through, that reveals the op, but Shaw still lands. And that slows down the play here. The spike kind of has to back up just a little bit. Dre's holding a corner behind bricks, and you still have an opportunity for a counter lockdown to come through if the threat feels dangerous. Tough 1v1 for Dre here. Has to try to hold if they can, but Raccoon from inside the site does everything themselves. And a huge round for Evictix to finish the half 5-7.
Yeah, you could just see the fear, the anxiety just across all the players of the NRG Academy side. As soon as, you know, one person goes down with the operator, suddenly everybody slows down. There's no momentum anymore for them to push off of it. And then just like deers in the headlight, really, they just kind of stop in their tracks and they allow for the lockdown to expire. They push in, and then it's just Raccoon once again just anchoring things down. No Odin in hand, but just a Phantom will do the spray just fine. to clean it out. Evictix, they hit that dream scenario in what started out as a very dominant NRG Academy half. Now, we're switching sides here. NRG Academy tend to be a little bit better here on this defense, but let's see if Evictix are going to be able to flip the script, because honestly speaking, it still looked really good for NRG on their attack.
Well, this is an important pistol. If Evictix can keep the momentum going, that would be a huge opportunity to swing things around and make NRG Academy feel a little bit of pressure after what was largely a comfortable offensive half. But a dispersion of pistol options on both sides has us looking at the spike, leaning at B. Aldrone to clear. Alarm bot in the corner.
Oh my.
We'll get some vulnerability, but there's no nano swarm here, so it doesn't really make too much of a difference. It just alerts NRG Academy that this is a B play, which of course everyone now knows.
And look at this, like, given the fact that no one pushes in there, they're just going to take over the space and play inside for the moment. Retake, though, getting themselves set up. I imagine it will be explosive, but I love the positioning for Evictix.
Well, here comes the defense making their way on through. Traded, has slipped the net, or has he? Sean Dex gets the find. Play through grass, not going to work out initially as Giza gets shut down. Trade looking decent here for the offense, and Evictix will survive off that play through mid. And that'll be enough for the pistol to continue to go the way of Evictix and have them now within one with the anti-eco on the way.
That was so good setup from Evictix. Like you see as well, Scotty's position, make sure that no one can kind of rotate around that way. And that really secures Raccoon's position to make sure that that shock dart can kind of go in there. And so it's a lot more attack onto the site, you know, just hold our ground here. And then you can see NRGA, they have to move in there, but they do take a decent amount of damage in the midst of it, as to be expected on some of these pistol rounds. And suddenly that utility gets so much more value, including kills like Raccoon with that shock dart. So an excellent round yet again from Evictix to bring us one more round closer to tying things up here. It's going to be Shaw's bringing in the Phantom this time. The Duelist is feeling it. And yeah, a little bit of a pistol shot, but just back out of there because Cavalry's coming in and knocking on the door. Yes, they are. And wow, Shaw's. Wow, Shaw's. Just throwing his life into the wind. Works out all right for the first blood. And still holding for a moment on the connector, but will back away. And NRG Academy will, I think at this point, likely just play back and sacrifice their lives to the spike. So looking like a 7-7 tally. And Evictix could have a true bonus on the way where they would have some huge firepower elements, including a Phantom, a Bulldog, but most importantly, you still have a Sheriff and a Bucky that could actually, or pardon me, a Judge that could be dangerous in the right post-plant positions. And you can tell, like, it's one of those things, right, where it's just like, oh, it'd be nice if we got a kill, but let's just make sure that we're more or less protected because we have a pretty good idea what NRG Academy are going to do. And it's, if they're on the defense and they lose the pistol, they will simply roll over and just kind of take the L there, you know, get the ultimates back online. Or sorry, just get an ultimate orb off of that one. And don't play too aggressively, you know, don't give up anything more because this round is already lost. And so we find ourselves now tied up 7-7 here. Keep in mind, based on the first half, this is really when NRG kind of kicked it into a new gear there. And we're able to string together 7 rounds in a row, which would be more than enough right now to close out this map. So let's see how Evictix want to really deal with this one. Thankfully, the bonus will still be pretty much intact. Scotty gonna be the only person with the Sheriff who's kind of coming in here, but it will be this fast hit onto this A site. I'm curious to see. They're moving into Ange and Chloric, who, once again, dynamic duo. Really excellent plays that swing off of one another, and really good job just navigating themselves around the utility on the site. Let's see if they can make magic happen again and stop Evictix in their tracks.
Where is this first contact going to come through? That's the question right now. And throwing shoulders. At least sees one. Not sure if he can see traded on that. Well, of course, now he's going to know there's a multitude here as the Aldrone comes out. The paranoia is well served. Trying to get smoked for some extra cover, but honestly, this defensive toxic screen is actually going to serve pretty nicely to stall things out and reposition. Relay bolt into the back of the site. Chloric, hands trying to hold on the best they possibly can, but the trades are good for Evictix, who now have control of the site. Defense thinking about for the early challenge, but traded will shut down the connector.
Yeah, and now stall out as well. We actually see Giza be able to navigate through that gap here. 2v3 scenario. Evictix might be able to get this bonus after all.
Timing here could be everything. Sean able to find one for free. Also shut down the play over to the Beacon Sewers with Scotty in hell. Keeps things interesting, and there's really no way that Sean can drop down with 10 HP. So Dre finds the elimination, and the bonus is successful here. Huge swing of Evictix with an edge, and back to a save. Go NRG's defense.
And we got to see one of those fun new interactions actually patched into the game here. And, you know, trying to stay alive uses the paranoia actually to blind out the Owl Drone. But there's just too many players from Evictix that are just running at them, especially with the shotgun in the hands of, I believe it was Raccoon there, to be able to just run through with the judge and just kind of one-tap them, because the big thing that you got to do is just make sure you secure the space. It doesn't even matter if you necessarily know where those players are hiding. As long as you can kind of clear the space, then you're probably going to win the duel there. So NRG Academy sent back to pistols, back into not the best economic situation here, while Evictix are once again looking pretty pristine on this attack thus far. But the name of the game right now for NRG Academy is to hold crossfires. None of them really moving out of their way or anything, or giving up any information. It is simply just hang on, let them walk into us, and try and swing off of that information and find a kill here or there to damage the economy and get us closer to Ultimates online.
Ooh, battles all over the map simultaneously. But as of course you can see it, just about everything goes the way of Evictix. So Shondex and Renz are the last two left, and they know where Renz is. So avoid that for now. Try to take the four-man stack somewhere else. And that's going to be over to Shondex's direction. I will say Sean has been really good with this Sheriff so far today, and still has some utility to play off of. Is going to try to hold their ground as long as humanly possible, and in that moment can't quite find the head. So Evictix will get their 9th, and Renz will find a rifle and, well, maybe try to play for exits here.
Yeah, unfortunately, Sean not necessarily hitting the shots that you would have expected him to. Feels like Haven just a little bit more pressure maybe, but unfortunately just a bit more whiffy. And yeah, Renz now just going to be watching for this. And honestly, like the Evictix flood-in to any of these sites is looking pretty darn clean. Like the amount of pressure that they're able to afford and just running over the defense. Sure, they might lose a little bit of damage here or there. Generally speaking, they've been really good at predicting where the site hit should occur. And then when they move in, they know exactly the players that they need to eliminate. And NRG Academy just lagging a little bit behind. They're not able to get the agents out from the site that they're on, and the reinforcements are not there at all. And so it allows for Evictix more or less to spring the trap onto NRG. Everyone on NRG is like, oh my god, what's going on? And then they're dead. And then at that point, like, you've got the numbers advantage, and NRG Academy trying to do anything on that retake is just going to get shut down by Evictix. So far, this has been a really good read and a really good play style coming through from Evictix on this attack. Yeah. It just seems like they're doing a great job at navigating things and really are going to force out the NRG timeout.
Yeah, rightfully so. This is going to feel like a must-win round right now for NRG Academy with an operator to be afforded. But most importantly, this is also prior to any major round-changing ultimates. So if you can win this round, you start to set yourself up for obviously a tight game in the first place, but a chance to play a counter game to the ultimates that are likely to come here for Evictix. We're on the other side. Just the storyline here is if Evictix win this, you're back on to limited purchase for NRG Academy. You also have an ultimate advantage then for Evictix, and the map starts to set up in terms of you having a chance to just win this series in 2.
And that would be kind of crazy. I mean, pretty much all of us would be wrong except for Liz here. As once again, the storyline of Evictix gaining momentum the more matches they play. Well, on the flip side, NRG Academy started off so strong, but just been stumbling a little bit lately in a lot of these games. It's going to be an aggressive push up here for shots, but this is pretty much all bait.
Yeah, Scotty's able to find the opener onto Renz, and like you said, that bait could now start to pull this defense around us a little bit, and it has. Floric protected in the corner, but there's no help. So this little slip out for Shaws does not amount to much. And now the defense can respond with a little bit of an angle of their own. Giza, yeah, how about it? Great play from Giza. Trade is able to find one in response, but it does not look to matter too much. That's just an incredible individual play from Giza.
Finally, we get to see Giza come alive here. And it comes down to just a little bit of a swap up of how that defensive composition was built. Traded though. Still looking like he will give this a shot. 1v3 scenario. Rescues the spike. Still 50 seconds left to make this happen.
Cloric's got the read though. Perfect. Yeah, no worries. And wow, after the first blood, plus the position slipping into the back of the A, things were starting to look really good for Evictix, but that's that individual presence that we've seen in map 1, and once again here, well, I won't say early, but we've seen it again from NRG Academy. Someone steps up when they need them to and gives them a fighting chance, because otherwise, I think largely from the game plan and the effectiveness of what exactly we're calling off the get-go, Evictix have had a bit of an edge.
100%. And so you see the swap off coming in from that timeout is, hey, we're just going to swap Ange alongside Giza. And so then that way we kind of rotate up the defense, because Ange was really kind of struggling there alone. And this time now, Ange will be hanging out here onto the C site, supported by Shondex, and Shaws goes down in the midst of all of that. Raccoon just in the back with the Odin, trying to spray things down yet again. But still an excellent first pick. It looks like the swap is really working for NRG Academy.
Yeah, sure seems that way. All right, well, that one, it's one of those you miss all the shots you don't take type situations. Aldrone to clear out a lobby, but Evictix are fighting without their entryman of Shaws now. So yeah, you figured this is going to be a B finish. Just you need that neon to crack deep into some of the other sites. So now it's just a smoke, a little dive in. Dre will plant. No defender in position to stop this part of the play from happening. You also got to keep in mind Raccoon is playing back mid window, has a Hunter's Fury with no chance to counter right now for NRG Academy.
Classic setup. You're just going to play off the sprays, play off of the util. The first half has to come through early.
Hunter's Fury out. A little early, but tag does come through. No further damage though, Tally. Odin has to hit the player up top, and it will. And then it's just a bullet hose from there on out. But here's Shondex at the corner.
No
almost able to finish it all
way.
off himself, but Traded able to snap on over, find the shutdown, and Evictix get to 10.
Again, Raccoon with the Odin, still proving to be such a problem for NRG Academy. You know, that time around, like, listen, this is a play from, like, the ancient days of Valorant. With that B hit, yeah, you go in, and then you get the heck out of there, and then you just kind of spray things down, kind of hold these long angles here. And even with the numbers disadvantage, it's going to be so easy. Smokes, hey, spray through them. That lesson, still going to be extremely strong, even with all the ammo nerfs after how many patches, like a year of patches at this point. But these spray downs have just been phenomenal from both these teams. Of course, Raccoon being the one who just has his finger on the pulse just a little bit better on where NRG are all the time.
Wow, and that's a bold set play. Just a little bit of spam up to the window of Garage, and then just a dive on in for Evictix from Shaws. So now you've got a 5v4. Lockdown at the ready if you want it. Cloric playing aggressively on A long. Has the Hunter's Fury for some counter ability, but you have to also figure that you need to get some information and some damage off of that as well. So there's going to be a decision to be made here depending on how Evictix play around this next 60 seconds.
You should run.
Okay. Looks like it will be the lockdown that gets invested here. And, well, actually, the spike is moving towards this A site. I wonder if they're suspicious on what's going on, because Cloric not using the Hunter's Fury this time, as Giza still finds the kill.
And yeah, Giza's just holding, saying, you know, I'll sacrifice my life to try to get the Stinger to play, and it might work out for them. Scotty for initial trade, but a lot of damage off the Nanostorm. Has Renz now looking back over to the site. The defensive lockdown will be spent. Dre will get the plant off. Now it's just down to, can you set up an exit and a post plant behind this? Scotty does have a Viper's Pit, but trying to get back on the site will be difficult. Great relabel. And Renz just may win the round by themselves. Scotty for the 1v3. Comes on over to find Shondex top side of sewer, and NRG bring us back to within 1.
And I feel like that was really the missing puzzle piece that we saw in previous round, that a lockdown gets kind of utilized towards that A site. Just the follow-up utility, the follow-up to kind of push the door down as soon as you kind of guarantee some of that space there. Beautifully played by Renz in order to just kind of capitalize off of it. Hey, you know what? When you're stunned up, suddenly that Odin's not going to shoot nearly as fast in Raccoon. That thing is not going to get you the value you wanted. So a great adaptation as we finally get to see Rens come a little bit online here. But NRG Academy still trailing 1 round behind Evictix. They've got a slew of ultimates ready to go though. And I imagine this is going to be the round that they use it to make sure that they secure that it is a tie, but also that they secure their economy, as that way it really just stops floundering.
Yeah, true. Relay, or pardon me, recon bolt sent. Too many things with R's and bolts coming out. Giza, whoa, trying to find timing to peek over towards garage. Doesn't work. Sean actually takes a little bit of stray damage as well. Chloric feeling the pressure will call it a reactive Hunter's Fury, and it does actually land onto a couple of the players, it looked like, on that last bolt. So a little bit of damage tallied, a little bit of a slowdown established, and Evictix will restructure with 60 on the clock.
And the Viper's Pit as well got expended so early on in the round. Basically just kind of gets dismissed as soon as Sean Dex is under a lot of pressure. And sure, Chloric uses that Hunter's Fury to be able to get that information, get all those tags to at least scare Evictix a little bit. Still, these are high impact ultimates that get utilized so early on and don't necessarily secure the kill or equalize based on Giza falling down so early in the round.
Well, Chloric is going to have the world in front of him here by the look of it. 30 on the clock. We're going to see a fake execute at A. Chloric keeping the eyes up and pulls off the site at the wrong moment. Fake will be effective. So how do you crack back into this? With Viper's Pit down, there are low health pools, so you maybe look at the overdrive from Rens if they can find an opening. And it may be right here. Gun seen. Rens able to find the opener. More possibly in front of them. Aldrone, does it scout Scotty? Maybe, hard to tell, but the integrity of the poison's back in play. NRG Academy still around this site. Oh my goodness, and Chloric's able to shut down Scotty. So now it's just down to what can you actually find from this top window position. That's the only place this post plant is really set up at. Ange will fall though, and Evictix will take the round.
That is so hard to see, especially given the ultimates that got utilized so early on in the round. Usually I'd be like, hey, Hunter's Fury can clear out a little bit of space, especially with the Viper's Pit being set up on B side. But NRG Academy, they expend all of it and don't really get anything to walk away with. And suddenly that becomes so much more free. And you can see the positioning that's just kind of being taken over. You know, the pit, the big question mark. How many people are inside of it? How many players are playing inside of it? While the rest of the players are kind of hanging back. And it's just too many things for NRG Academy to really take into account, especially after that fake works to perfection. When the Viper's Pit got deployed, if Chloric was in the right side and didn't decide to go through, if he just stood there and sprayed his gun, he probably would have found at least Spike, if not a couple more kills there. But it just works out perfectly. The bait and switch, honestly, very well put together for Evictix there.
So this little back and forth now again has NRG Academy sweating a little bit. The money is not great. And so you kind of need to, well, see the overdrive here for Rens. And you lose this round, you're on nothing going into what would have to be 3 in a row. Whereas on the opposite side, you could see, I mean, we've got some hefty economies being built, hefty pockets being established, but you're also close to a Hunter's Fury, which could be big for Raccoon if they need more time. And you've got Nodin, and you've got Phantoms and ARs. Like, it's just not looking all that great right now for NRG Academy. Tough round in front of them. You need to see some sort of a, I would say, just proactive shutdown early, put the pressure on the clock for Evictix to make some sort of a desperate call.
Yeah, but we're not really seeing that kind of pressure or really that like proactivity come through from the defense. NRG Academy more or less just kind of hold their ground and are hoping that, you know, you have a round where Giza can find a triple kill as they're kind of flooding in onto the site or something like that. And unfortunately, miracles like that just don't kind of fall into your lap. You have to architect them. You have to make them happen.
Yeah, it's just so tough when you're trying to just read contact plays with a lesser economy. It almost makes you feel like with how exactly NRG Academy are playing, maybe they're thinking about kind of backing off and just playing for retake, but you're going to have to hold on to a lot of utility for that. And honestly speaking, all they're going to have to re-clear would be a smoke and a paranoia from Ange. So I think important for Ange to stay alive. Shaw's is looking for something. Not going to get anything, at least not on this angle. But Ange will be under pressure here. And, ooh. See, yep, seen something left. Now he has. There's the smoke. You delete some of the recon ability to jump on in, teleporting forward. Opportunity to try to hold this. Hunter's Fury has largely been danced around. Ange provides 2. Oh, mercy. How does he get 2? Scotty, long battle over towards Garage. And the longer this takes, the worse it's going to be here for the side of Evictix, who now really got a time to even get onto site at all. Wow, what an absolute withstand that is from NRG Academy. They're going to get their 10th and keep their hopes alive.
Oh man, I've got no words. Like, you know what? Maybe the strategy is just to rely on somebody to be able to find a multi-kill on the site, huh? Because it really feels like that's just how NRG are really relying on themselves to work. And that time around, it is Ange able to withstand all of that pressure, but most importantly, has Rens for backup, right? Because you see, the Paranoia goes in. It's a wrench thrown into the gears of Evictix on their attack onto that C site. The teleport comes through, the Shadow Step, and then, Rens pops the ultimate there, and suddenly there's a lot more question marks than answers. Raccoon using the Hunter's Fury to try and clear them out, but it's just so fast and furious coming through from NRG Academy that there's simply no time for Evictix to react.
Opening battle here at A main, though. Has NRG scrambling to get another player inside this site after the trade comes through.
Right here.
Moment of pause. Raccoon, yeah, just gonna tap the orb and see if the Odin can respond to some of that pre-spam that's on the way. Shock dart as well, avoided. So Raccoon has pulled some of this defense around a little bit. Dark cover will encompass this A main choke point, but it looks like Evictix want to finish on this A site.
Yeah, and on top of that too, they're able to rescue the ultimate orb. And just to feign a little bit of noise here, NRG Academy, though, having bought the fake last time, know to be a little bit smarter. So they're going to make sure to cross their T's and dot their I's, and that should be all the info you need.
Yep, Chloric can hold this off a little while longer. Spike now making a desperate rotation back over to Sewer. So it still looks like Evictix want to design an A finish. But the defense, largely speaking, is here. So you're going to kill a little bit of noise, try to create some doubt, but Ange can still affect this site with the Paranoia if they lean a little bit more over towards the A side of this B point. But might not need it. Sean only gets 1. In the back of the site, Chloric gives you another, but the kills are in. NRG Academy will not be able to contest the spike plant. They're going to go 2v2 in the retake.
10 seconds left.
Yeah, just good heads up. The trading the recon darts allows for an opportunity really for Evictix to run in onto site. And now this is going to be so difficult. Scotty has that Odin in hand. Going to get nice and set up here as the fuel expires. So NRG Academy take their time.
Here comes the walk down. And no, doesn't get one. And Scotty's got the cross.
Oh my.
Unbelievable. Evictix now 12-10 on series point. NRG Academy going to scramble with just not a comfortable arsenal.
Not comfortable at all. Look at this. Valorant timing at its finest.
Correct.
Look at the wrong way and is like, hey, I should look back now. Oh, look who just popped around the corner and finds the kill too. Like, I don't know. Sometimes you're just like, oh yeah, beautiful plays, beautiful gun plays. But sometimes it's just like, man, that was really unlucky for you. Especially as it forces NRG Academy now onto the potential match point here. Once again, not elimination. I almost said elimination, not Grim Reaper Day yet. But that will secure the spot for Evictix if they're able to take this last round, while NRG Academy will have one more match to see whether or not they qualify, or then it's Grim Reaper time and you kind of get Graveyard Dead. So we're going to see how this one plays out here as a timeout being taken by Evictix. You know, talking about playing with your food. It really just kind of let NRG Academy stew in some of the stuff that's been going on here, but they've been looking really good. The site overwhelms, the site takes have all been pretty darn effective. It really feels like they've cleaned up a lot of their initiation into these sites. And once again, the post plant just looks phenomenal every single time. NRG Academy have been really struggling to try and find their opportunity to be it. The rounds that they win tend to fall when NRG Academy can stop them before that spike gets down. If the spike gets down, then it's looking like it probably will be an Evictix round.
Scatter. Well, Dre is going to commit to the back of the defensive spawn. Timing. Oh! I was going to say it very well may have been one of those moments that you saw Ange kind of shutting down the play and forcing this hit from the front to have to find success. But now you've got an extra element kind of a spy behind the play, see if you can pull this defense around. But no, NRG Academy just keep all their focus on the front doors, and they find every elimination that they need. Dre's gonna get blindsided by Giza. And after what was a desperate play, with the from the shadows working out, no one else finds a single E-limit. NRG Academy are one away from sending us to another set of overtimes.
NRG Academy, the team that is great for, this is a problem. I'm gonna deal with it in the future. And they just completely put that Omen element in the room to the side, and you can tell Evictix, they're expected. They're like, oh man, we snuck Dre back there. Dre found a kill. That means all these resources from NRG Academy will make sure that they're gonna deal with the Omen. But then instead, NRG Academy just decide to hold the W key and take the fight to Evictix. And then Dre suddenly is like, well, I guess I have to move forwards now because everyone's dying. And at that point, it's just simply too late.
Yeah, I love that of like, we don't care if you're behind us. You can't do anything about it if we're just gonna full hit this attack from the front. So now all of a sudden, shoes on the other foot. Evictix have to play with a Guardian, a Spectre, 2 Spectres, mind you, and a Judge. So Chloric will get some early intel. It doesn't really tell you too much though, since the Viper is often the roamer. But this is just a hard commitment call for Evictix. At the moment, they're going to try to get a feel out here today.
And at the same time, like, sure, it's not the best buy it, but we've seen Evictix make this stuff work. So that Shock Dart gets good damage in, at least on its work.
First contact is the most important, you think? Oh my goodness, no chance. Chloric just peeks into this. Oh, he does, but finds the headshot. So now you kind of force the hand of the rest of Evictix to have to hit behind this. Shaw's gives you one. The exit with the fast lane, though, is successful for NRG Academy. We're going to go forward in the post plant. And yeah, think better about that. The dirt cover will be there for a moment, but this is the big issue. Raccoon up close with the Judge. Vulnerable, taking a ton of damage.
Oh my.
What a clear out that is. So now it has to be on the Shaws again. Decent damage to the side of the wall.
No way.
Oh, he finds 2, and then Raccoon steps up. And Evictix will get the win in 2 maps. No overtime needed this time. NRG Academy will have to fight one more time while Evictix will qualify for playoffs.